I turn the heater on, no error lights or service lights. The unit starts up, I set the temp to 85. After a short time, about 30 seconds, the temperature climbs to 126 and stays there. I've replaced the thermistor, thermal regulator, control board. Can you help? What other part am I missing? Heat exchanger, question mark? Thanks for all you do.
So, not sure what heater you have. That would help. But if the temperature is spiking all the way up like that, it means you have restricted flow. Water's not traveling through it fast enough to take the heat out. It would be first thought, and there's a couple possibilities with that. And if it stays running and the temperature is spiking up to that and the heater keeps running, that tells me that you have some temperature sensor problems anyway. If it spikes, the heater kicks on and that heat goes all the way up and the heater stays running, you definitely there's two different things going on. But if it kicks off when it spikes like that and then it cools down and kicks back on, it's probably a restriction in the heater itself. Two possibilities. You have a stuck bypass valve. What people don't realize is that water goes into the heater, and 80% of the water that goes into the heater never goes through the coil, never goes through the heat exchanger at all. It bypasses right out, and only a small portion goes through the heat exchanger, then meets up with the water that's being bypassed, and it heads back to the pool. So the water that's actually being heated is quite hot when it comes out of the exchanger, and then it re-meets with the normal pool water, and by the time it gets back to the pool, it appears to have gone up a couple degrees. So every time that water cycles through that heater, it only picks up 2 or 3 degrees of heat. So out of a gallon of water that goes into the heater, 80% of it bypasses the heater. The other 20% goes through, gets heated up super hot, reconnects with the rest of the gallon, and by the time it gets back to the pool, that gallon of water is about 2 to 3 degrees warmer, depending on how long the run is, but use that as a good basis. So what can happen is you can get buildup inside the heat exchanger. If you have a lot of heat building up in the heat exchanger, you limit the flow, and you're not getting enough flow through the heat exchanger to take the heat off of the coil of the heat exchanger itself, which would cause the temperature to spike like that. The other possibility is you have a bypass valve that's not working properly, and now you're trying to push, it's stuck shut, so you're trying to push all the water through the heater, and it can't get water through it fast enough to draw the heat away, and you're literally starting to boil the water inside the heater itself. So restrictions are always things to look for, and then also build up inside the heater itself, inside the heater core itself.